Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're stepping inside the Vatican into that very secret world surrounding the election of a new pope.
Hmm.
We're doing it through Robert Harris's novel, Conclave.
Right. It's a fascinating topic.
And we know you, our listener, want to get straight to the heart of it, get those aha moments, but, without getting totally bogged down in detail.
Exactly. Think of this as a shortcut, really. A
Yeah.
way to grasp the drama, the politics, the whole intense atmosphere of a papal election.
So this idea of a papal conclave is pretty unique, isn't it? Steeped in history.
Oh, absolutely. Ancient traditions mixed with, let's be honest, high-stakes politics.
Yeah.
Harris sets his story, interestingly, in 2022, right after a fictional pope dies.
And you've got, 118 cardinals locked away together?
Yep, sequestered, all
Yeah.
trying to choose the next leader. It's huge, the implications for the direction of the Catholic Church. It's not just a job interview.
No, definitely not. And looking at how people reacted to the book, say on Goodreads, it's all over the place.
It really is. You've got Catherine calling it compelling, fascinating, intelligent, and she loved the ending.
But then Hannah compared it to watching CS-PAN. Ouch.
Yeah, quite the contrast.
Mm.
She found the ending anticlimactic.
So, completely different takes.
Well, it probably depends what you're expecting, right? Maybe Hannah wanted more of a, I don't know, Dan Brown thriller.
That's what Piangi mentioned, actually. Angels and Demons got her interested. She'd visited the Vatican.
Oh, okay.
But she found Conclave a bit slow. Liked the details of the procedure, the politics, but wanted more action.
Which suggests Harris is maybe more focused on the internal stuff, the psychology, the power plays within the walls, rather than, car chases through Rome.
Right. And Rose's review sounds a bit more like she talked about the tension, didn't she, between the spiritual side and just plain old ambition.
Worldly ambition.
Yeah.
She admitted it was slow-paced, but found a late reveal really intriguing. She even quoted something about conscience being the only guide.
Interesting. Then there's Paul Weiss, who loved it, called it a compelling behind-the-scenes narrative.
He really highlights that surprising ending, too, seeing it as political satire, a comment on the Church's problems today.
And because it's a nice little list of the main players, the potential popes.
Yeah, the contenders, Tedesco, the traditionalist, Tremblay, the Canadian progressive, Ademi, a conservative from Africa.
And then this mystery figure, Benitez from Baghdad, who was appointed in secret.
In Pictor, yeah. Adds intrigue right away.
Okay, so let's actually get into the story. Where does Harris start us off?
Right, well, it kicks off immediately after the Pope's death. We're with Cardinal Lomaly. He's the dean of the College of Cardinals.
So a key figure.
A very key figure. He arrives at the papal suite, but finds others already there. Bellini, the Secretary of State. Tremblay, who's the Camerlengo, the one in charge during the interim. Ademi, Archbishop Mandorf.
And Lomaly's the last to arrive.
Exactly. Which is immediately a bit strange. It hints maybe his influence isn't what it was, or maybe things are already moving without him. A subtle power shift.
And then the rituals begin.
Yeah, ancient stuff. The Nigerian cardinal leads a prayer. We see Lomaly struggling a bit spiritually. He'd actually just met with the Pope recently about his own, doubts or struggles.
Ah, okay. Adds a personal layer for him.
It does. Then Tremblay steps up, takes charge as Camerlengo, and performs that really symbolic act breaking the papal ring, the fisherman's ring.
So Tremblay seems very much in control at this point.
He does. Cool, calm, collected. But Lomaly feels uneasy. And then there's this little detail. Cardinal Tedesco, the traditionalist, already knew the Pope was dead before Lomaly did.
So who told him? How did you know? Whispers starting already.
Precisely. And Harris throws in this discussion about the Pope's body, how to handle it.
Right, the grandeur versus something else.
Yeah. They end up deciding to remove the body in just a plain body bag.
Yeah.
It really underscores this theme of humility, maybe a signal for the kind of Pope they need next. Less pomp, perhaps?
Interesting touch. So the stage is set. Then the electors start arriving.
That's the next phase.
Yeah.
They gather at the Casa Santa Marta where they'll be staying. Harris gives us these little sketches.
Like what?
Well, the Latin American cardinals arriving, maybe thinking about voting as a bloc. Then you see Cardinal Krasinski, very old, very frail. And the Curia cardinals, the Vatican insiders, they arrive last, looking almost jaded.
Right, like they've seen it all before.
Yeah.
Paints a picture of diversity, but also potential divides, right?
Absolutely. And those divides become clearer as we meet more key figures. There's talk of Cardinal series' past influence, showing how history hangs over them.
Okay.
Then there's Cardinal Gattuso. He runs the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, the old Inquisition, basically, seen as liberal, but maybe more authoritarian underneath.
Always important, that role.
Crucial. And Cardinal Titino, who's been damaged by scandal, so he's perhaps more vulnerable or manipulable.
And Tremblay. We know he's the Camerlengo, but what's his deal?
Ah, Tremblay. He's crafting this image, modern, approachable, media savvy, and he's got this powerful job, prefect for evangelization of peoples.
What does that involve?
Well, it means he controls significant resources, especially for churches in developing nations. So, cardinals from those areas might feel indebted to him. He's building a power base, quite strategically, it seems.
Okay, so he's definitely playing the game, using his position.
Looks like it. And you see the early politics starting. Bellini, the Secretary of State, and another cardinal, Sabaton, they're already trying to figure out how to stop Tedesco, the hardline traditionalist.
Because Tedesco wants to roll things back, Latin Mass, that kind of thing.
Pretty much. So the campaigning, subtle or not, has begun. Alliances are forming.
But then things take a turn, don't they? There's a secret.
Big one. Lomaly gets pulled aside by Archbishop Wozniak, who tells him something explosive. Just before he died, the Pope had actually fired Tremblay, dismissed him from all his posts for gross misconduct.
What? But Tremblay's acting like he's in charge.
Exactly. Wozniak says Tremblay's been desperately trying to cover it up. Suddenly, Tremblay's cool demeanor looks very different. How can this guy still be a frontrunner if this is true?
Wow, okay. That changes everything.
Completely. And then, another layer of complexity, Cardinal Benitez.
The secret cardinal from Baghdad.
Right. Revealed only after the Pope's death. Why the secrecy? Why him? Why now? Lomaly's baffled. He wonders if maybe the Pope wanted someone completely outside the Vatican machine.
Someone untainted, perhaps?
Perhaps. Or someone with a specific perspective coming from Baghdad. But it definitely fuels the suspicion and paranoia already brewing.
Yeah, you can imagine. Even Bellini starts getting suspicious of Lomaly, thinking he might be making a play for Pope himself.
The pressure is really building. Secrets, ambition, distrust. It's getting tense.
And right in the middle of this, Lomaly gives a homily.
Yes. During a big televised mass before the conclave officially starts. And it's unexpected.
How so?
He ditches the prepared speech. Instead, he talks about needing a pope who doubts, who sins, who asks for forgiveness. Someone human, essentially.
Oh, that's not your typical pre-conclave message of strength and certainty.
Not at all. And the reactions are telling. Some cardinals, like the progressive Dell'Acqua, they approve. But the traditionalists, not happy.
And Bellini?
Bellini basically accuses Lomaly to his face of angling for the job himself with that speech. So, Lomaly's words, meant or not, have definitely stirred the pot.
Okay, so then they finally go into the conclave proper. The voting starts.
Yes. First ballots.
Yeah.
And pretty quickly, two main camps emerge. Ademi, the African conservative, gets strong support.
Right.
And so does Tedesco, the traditionalist.
Okay, the two main conservative forces. What about Tremblay, with that secret hanging over him?
He still gets significant votes.
Yep.
Which is remarkable, really. Maybe the rumor hasn't spread or people don't believe it, or his support base is just that solid.
And Bellini, the Secretary of State.
He started okay, but his votes start to drop off. Maybe the focus is shifting.
And then they burn the ballots. The famous smoke signals.
Exactly. Everyone waiting outside watching that chimney. The first couple of rounds, it's black smoke. No Pope yet.
So it suggests a bit of a deadlock, maybe, between Ademi and Tedesco, with Tremblay in the mix.
Seems like it. A divided college. Bellini fading. Tremblay hanging on despite the rumors. It's anyone's game.
But then another shock for Lomaly. Something else comes out.
Yeah, this one's really difficult. A nun, Sister Shanumi, comes to Lomaly. She confesses something deeply disturbing about Cardinal Ademi.
Oh no, what?
Misconduct from his past in Nigeria, something that had a devastating impact on her life. It's a terrible story.
Good heavens. So Lomaly now knows something damaging about another frontrunner.
Exactly. And it puts him in an impossible position. What does he do? This isn't just politics now. It's about justice, about someone's pain.
Does he confront Ademi?
He does. And Ademi completely denies it. He claims it's a setup, a smear campaign. And guess who he blames?
Let me guess. Tremblay.
Bingo. He says Tremblay orchestrated the whole thing to knock him out of the running.
This is getting incredibly messy.
And it gets worse. Lomaly investigates further and discovers Ademi might be right about the plot. He finds evidence that Tremblay did arrange for Sister Shanumi to be brought to Rome.
To use her story against Ademi?
Precisely. To discredit his rival and clear his own path. The cynicism is just staggering.
So Lomaly knows Tremblay was fired for misconduct and that he's orchestrating this smear campaign.
What does he do now?
He's really wrestling with it. Does he intervene? Blow the whole thing open. It could cause an unprecedented scandal, maybe invalidate the election. It's a huge moral dilemma.
His duty versus the stability of the process.
Right. And this leads him to take a big risk. He secretly goes into the late Pope's apartment, which is supposed to be sealed.
Why? What's he looking for?
Proof. Concrete proof about Tremblay. And he finds it. He discovers the official report detailing Tremblay's financial misconduct. It's simony, basically, buying or selling church influencer offices. A very serious charge.
So now he has documented evidence.
Undeniable proof. And interestingly, he shows it to Bellini.
Who was suspicious of Lomaly earlier.
Yes, but the evidence is so damning, even Bellini agrees they have to confront Tremblay. It seems the proof overrides the personal suspicions. Tremblay's time might finally be up.
So they release this report.
Lomaly distributes copies of his findings about Tremblay's simony to all the cardinals. Just hands it out.
Wow. You can imagine the reaction.
Chaos. Absolute chaos. Some cardinals are outraged at Tremblay. Fitzgerald, an Irish cardinal, is particularly vocal.
And Tremblay.
Furious denial. He turns on Lomaly, accuses him of trying to sabotage the conclave. It's explosive.
Does anyone back up the story about Sister Shanumi?
Yes, unexpectedly, another nun, Sister Agnes, confirms that Tremblay was involved in bringing Sister Shanumi to Rome. It just piles on him.
And Lomaly offers to step down.
Yeah, amid the chaos, he offers to resign as dean, maybe to show he's not doing this for personal gain.
Just as you think it can't get any more dramatic.
Bang. Literally. Explosions rock the Sistine Chapel itself while they're voting.
What? Inside the chapel?
Yes. Glass shatters, smoke, chaos, terror. The cardinals are terrified.
Was it a bomb?
It seems so. And then reports come in coordinated terrorist attacks are happening across Europe, apparently targeting the church, timed for the conclave.
My goodness, an external attack on top of all the internal drama.
Exactly. Suddenly their internal squabbles seem less important. They debate suspending the conclave.
I should think so.
Tedesco, the traditionalist, argues forcefully against it, a sort of defiant, hawkish stance.
And they actually continue.
Remarkably, yes. They decide to proceed with the voting, despite the danger, despite the attacks. It's a statement about the process, maybe. It's resilience.
Incredible. So under these insane circumstances, they vote again.
Eighth ballot. And then the unexpected happens.
Don't tell me it's Tremblay after all that.
No. It's Cardinal Benitez, the surprise candidate from Baghdad.
Benitez wins.
He's elected pope, and he chooses the name Innocent.
Innocent. Given the bombing, the scandals, that name feels significant.
Very. Lomaly is certainly struck by it. A desire for peace, maybe? A new beginning.
Wait. Isn't there still one more twist, the biggest one?
Ah, yes. The final, stunning revelation. After the election, Cardinal Lomaly, an American, comes to Lomaly looking troubled.
Okay.
He tells Lomaly something Benitez said to him casually once, that he'd never shaved in his life.
Never shaved. Why? Why does that matter?
Well, remember the absolute rule. Only a male cardinal can be elected pope. Lomaly's putting two and two together. Could Benitez
not be biologically male?
That's the shocking implication Lomaly raises.
So Lomaly has to confront the new pope about this.
He does. He has a private audience with the newly elected Pope Innocent. He refers to that Bible verse, wise as serpents and innocent as doves.
A loaded reference.
Very. And Pope Innocent confirms it. Confirms they have undergone gender transition. Explains the secrecy. Says the late Pope knew and supported it.
Wow. Wow. A Pope who has transitioned in a Robert Harris novel.
It's a seismic twist. It completely reframes everything. The secrecy around Benitez, the late Pope's choice, the name Innocent. Everything.
So let's just quickly recap the whirlwind here. This fictional conclave wasn't just politics.
Oh, no. It was politics, yes, but also scandals being uncovered, devastating personal secrets.
Then the shock of external terrorism hitting right at the heart of the process.
And culminating in this absolutely unprecedented election and revelation about the new Pope's identity.
So for you listening, wanting those aha moments and a clear path through a complex story,
we hope this deep dive delivered that. We've walked through the intrigue, the twists, the core drama of Harris's conclave.
And it leaves us and you with a pretty big thought to chew on, doesn't it?
Definitely. What does this ending, this idea mean? What does it suggest about faith, about identity, about tradition?
Right. And about the potential for change, or the challenges to change, within a massive ancient institution like the Catholic Church, especially today.
How do these deeply embedded structures cope with the modern world? What possibilities or pressures does a scenario like this, even fictional, bring up?
It's fascinating to think about, especially considering all those different reactions we mentioned at the start, from the book reviews to the characters within the novel itself.
Absolutely. So we'd certainly encourage you to explore Robert Harris's Conclave, if this has piqued your interest, and really reflect on the big questions it raises.
It's definitely a thought-provoking story. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.